right. Bill Cohen. Vermin, I'm speaking at you there. I'll give people a minute to get in. I've got a heater going here. But I want to show you something. But nobody's on. So let me wait. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you, Mark. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you think. Evidently, nobody does care what I think because nobody's here tonight. Here I am, and nobody cares. One person show up, but nobody cares. Jack Russell, you better, son. You should have peeps in. Could be because it's Friday. Everybody watching something else. Should I call my wife? We are 1 minute and 34 seconds in, and nobody. 8 o'clock, 8:02. Look at this. Something's wrong. I think something's wrong, Jill. I think something's wrong. It's like nobody's in. See?
Yeah.
I got the chat activated. In. There's one. Wow.
Just slow tonight. It's Friday.
Now, who is this that's in? Who is this first person that's in? Let's guess. Who do you think? I bet it's Inga. Who is this first person in?
Or Justin?
Justin Trudeau.
Keith?
Justin Trudeau, is he with us tonight? Because I'm not sure what you guys all want to talk about, because tonight is Open Line Friday, but here we're 8:03 and only one person in the chat, and they don't want to give up their 20 or their name. Who are you? 2 people. Okay, please identify. I want to know who I'm talking to here. I got plenty to talk about tonight, believe me. Come on. I got something to show you. Not that I'm whining, but it's 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I wonder how cold it is over in Canada right now, over in Ottawa. I bet it's colder. Of course, we're thinking a lot about Ottawa tonight, as our brethren are over there taking the city. They're going to converge on the city tomorrow, and it should get pretty interesting. I've had a little bit of information come in, actually came in from Jack. He said, you need to watch this, and it was Owen Benjamin. He wanted me to watch the first half hour. I watched about the first 20 minutes, and then I was unable to continue because one of my sons is home from the Air Force today, just got in at noon, and my oldest son is here with his wife and my 2 grandkids. So we had dinner, and I didn't want to listen to it, all of it. But I listened to some of it, and I will finish it at some point. Is anybody here, really? I see 4, but I don't see any chattage going on. Is there any chattage going on? We're at 8:05. Maybe there's something else cooler going on. I can't imagine what would be cooler than this. So Friday is the night that we've set aside traditionally for Open Line Fridays, so we can talk about your guys' stuff. Most of the time, we're talking about stuff that's in the news, stuff that's happening, farm stuff, how-to stuff, interviews with people. Next week, I'm going to work at getting Charles on. Charles Bookwalter, he's my Green Beret friend that's running for the House of Representatives in Washington. So we'll get him on and get a feel for what his story is all about. Maybe I don't have the chat turned on. Yeah, I do. Can somebody say something in the chat so I know that you can hear me? Can somebody just say something? Give me a thumbs up. Tell me it's the BAT or somebody else. I don't know. All right, so real cold here today. And we spent half the day working in the butcher shop, working down a project. We had to get prepared for a customer. And so we worked on that this morning until about I hit this thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a counter at all.
Uh-oh. Very likely, Keith.
All right. Well, that was you.
Okay.
All right, chat's working. Sound good. All right, Jack. Good. I'm glad you're here because we can see and hear you. Awesome. Great. Great. Boosted my spirits. I hear you, but your lips are not moving. Imagine that coming to Lone Star.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'll back up and start from the beginning. I was born in 1960. No. I sometimes like to start the session off by saying what was about, and maybe you guys could see me, but we're going through a little bit of a cool spell, right? It's not a big deal, but yeah, but let me finish. Okay, so today was just a pretty average Friday, except my son Sam was coming in from the Air Force today, and he got in about noon. So he drove and crashed out in his pickup, and then drove home, and so he's here, and then he curled. I found him curled up next to the woods with his Carhartts on, and so he's home, and we just had a great dinner that Colleen cooked for us, my daughter-in-law, and Jill was out on a tutor, and Colleen just to the call and made us eggs and sausage, and so we had a real good. Here I am. I don't have a subject. Is Open Line Friday, so it's the night that we get to talk about what you guys want to talk about. But I must say that there's been an interaction of information that's gone back and forth. Jack's with us now, saying that I need to watch the rest of the Owen Benjamin video. And if you didn't hear me before, Jack, I listened to 15 minutes of it, and not that I got disgusted with it or anything. I just didn't have time to listen to it, because I find that if I'm listening to something and conversations going on, I'm trying to, oh yes, but I'm missing most of it. I thought this will take care of itself. I need to talk with my kid, so I turned it off. I'll listen to it tonight. But I did get the gist of what he was saying. He was saying that, okay, the whole thing's a hoax. And that intrigues me. I was waiting for somebody to say that. And so I am intrigued. I'm not saying that it's not. We'll see. We will see. I know what he said. He says, I went down the rabbit hole. I got the rabbit. I came back, and I'm going to share it with you. And he says, I don't want to bum you guys out, but I got to tell you. And he said the whole thing was put together by two gay guys. And, so I'm going to finish it off. I'm going to listen to it. But at the same time, my feed is just chucked full of stuff coming in. And so it's really going to be interesting to see. I mean, anytime something happens that we deem to be a hot topic and part of the movie that's playing out, it gets our attention, gets my attention for sure. And I try to sift down through it. Is it real, or is it Memorex? Right? Is it BS? And a lot of stuff has been going on this week. Some of my contacts that are definitely on the liberal side have lashed out at me for some of the stuff that I've said. And one of the things was it was a meme of Joe Rogan going like this over, a fresh grave that had Neil Young on it, and I just thought it was funny, I just thought it was. I think Neil Young's kind of all right, kind of a has. I could care less about what he thinks, but Rogan is tearing it up. He is absolutely tearing it up. I guess there's an interview. My oldest son was saying, you have to see this. And it's an interview with Rogan and Jordan Peterson on it. And they just are boom, 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 just flying. And we'll see. You know, that's the thing. I can get convinced of something really good is coming, and that this truckers rally is going to jam Ottawa up for the next 30 days. And I can believe that, but it doesn't change what is really going to happen, right? So that's why we just have to tune in and watch. There it is. All right. I lost all that chat. So if there was
audio was coming through.
The audio
We
was
just lost video.
but I have lost the chat, so I can't see what they wanted to talk about. You guys had stuff you wanted to talk about in the chat. Can you give it to me again?
How many
this is
stuck in Canada? That was the only thing.
This is the video. This is the video camera on the laptop now. because the light's not on the camera. I apologize for this, you guys. This is,
Yes.
yep. So you want to just roll with that?
Yeah, because it's working.
All right, it's
We're
working.
going
So
with
let's
what's
stay with
working.
it. Okay, we're back. Lenny, how you doing? Keith S is with us. His on back. His Trader Joe, you are back. Okay, so the cleric's with us. The cleric, I got your message today for sure. We just haven't set a day, but we're going to do it. We've got several different parties that want to participate in that. We've got to knock some beef down this week. We'll see. I think it would be better for Tommy if it was Saturday, probably, huh? So I don't know. We might knock. We'll see. We just haven't gotten that far. Andy, 16 feet. How high do you need the rail for butchering beef? 16 feet. And it's got to be stout. Because you're going to have a gambrel and then you're going to have a chain hoist. So that subtracts, a foot or maybe 16 inches. Always go higher. Okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll do that to cleric. We'd love to have some help. It's always fun too. A lot of it's just no mind skinning work on a beef. You can't really screw it up. And then we have a way that we do it. Maybe Joe will be here to video it and help us through it a little bit. For the homesteader, honestly, let's talk beef instead of trucks in Canada for a bit. The rule of thumb is that you hang them for about 10 days. And you want to hang them at about 38 degrees. That's the zone right there. 38, 40, maybe 42, right? You're getting into a little bit of dangerous area, if you go much over that, because you can have bacterial growth start to happen on the interior of the animal. And then there is a precaution that you can take that after you split the animal down the middle. Okay, so we're going to knock the hoofs off. We're going to knock the head off. A little bit different than a pig. We're going to split them down the middle. Hides off, guts are out. And then we're going to wash down the inside of the body cavity with hot water. All right, and that washes out any of the bacteria that we may have from the guts, right? You can't always do that. You might not have hot water where you're at, but that is a good way to do it. And then we're going to want to hang them at about 38 degrees. Let's just say 40. Well, you might not have that either, but this time of the year where I am, it's pretty cold. I showed my phone before. Hey, Jeremy's with us. And it is 5 degrees. So it's pretty cold. So a carcass is going to freeze, right? So the way to work around that is to take the pieces off of that beef that that you're just going to turn into burger, and then go to work on them. Let them cool down maybe for a night, and then go to work on them the next day and get it all stripped off. Get all those bones chunked up. So let's say like the front quarter. A lot of times that's what we'll do with the front quarter. We'll just take all that meat off, all that fat off, mix it, run it through the grinder, call it good, pack it up. And that's, the front quarter of the animal. That's a lot. Then we start talking, and I'm talking the front shoulder, right? So we're going to split the animal into sixths. I would draw it out if I had a pen, but that's impossible to keep a pen back here where I'm always, well, there's a pen. Let me quit my complaining. Let me draw this out for you. And I know Lone Star is going to give me the business on this, but too bad. We do have this rigged up so that I should be able to draw right here, and then there's another camera that should point straight down at it. But ever since we had this little problem with the laptop, things are happening, and we've got to get them narrowed down. Like the camera right now is not working. We're on the camera on the laptop, so we're going to get it narrowed down. We're waiting kind of till Joe's back with us, so I'll just do it this way. Okay. This animal, if it's split in two, right down the middle, this would be the front quarter right here. This would be the loin, the center section, right? And this will be the hind quarter. So a lot of times, the center section will take the ribs off, and then it'll leave a plate right on top of the back, sort of like the saddle. And we'll take that saddle and we'll put it someplace where we can keep it at near about 40 degrees. That shouldn't be that hard to do. Like for us, we have a cooler, and we really don't have to run the cooler. It just seems like it stays right in that zone. And I can tag it, put it in there. We can leave it for 20 days in there, and it will really tenderize the meat. What happens when you hang meat, beef, you don't do this with pork, but with beef, it starts the process of decomposition, right? If you hung it for 100 days, whoa, it'd be pretty stinky at 100 days. It wouldn't be good. But 10 days, and then you're watching it, you've tagged it so you can monitor the date when you put it in there. You can lose track of them. And then at 15 days, you look at it, okay, it's still doing good. The longer you can keep it there, without it starting to show signs of putrefaction, then the more tender you're going to get. But, there's a point of no return. So you are checking it every single day. And when it gets close, a little slimy, now let's end it right there. Get it cut up into the steaks, and that's going to be your really good stuff. Okay? So that's not a process that you're probably going to see, Beth. The process that you would see would be, we will walk a cow down into the area where we kill them, and then we'll boop. And I just use a 22 mag for that. And then we'll drag them onto a grass area or a garden area, and then stick them, same as a pig kind of right here, but you have to make a cut a little bit longer so you can reach in. We don't have I suppose if we had a much longer knife, we could probably reach, but I actually reach in, and I'm not sure how much blood is in a cow, but it's a lot. And so we want it on a garden area where that blood won't, be an eyesore, in the maintenance area or anything like that. You just want it to, maybe get covered with snow or whatever, but we don't want to see it. We did a couple of them. We did like 5 of them last year. And Jill said, I didn't like the looks of that. It was just there for a long time, and then it was encapsulated in the ice. And then when stuff started to melt, we could see it again. And we can't do that because we have too many visitors these days to the farm. So that's what we'll do. And then we'll pull the cow up on the pad. We'll prop him up with cordwood, right? We cut wood so it looks like wedges. And you push the cow up, and you put that under the shoulder, and put one on the other side so he doesn't flop over, and then knock the hoofs off. It's surprising how easy they come off. And then start working down from there, just like a shirt. You just work down to the center, and then down the belly, and then back up the back legs, knock those hoofs off, and then just skin it right down to the ground. And then we'll put a gambrel in it, pick him up, and then walk the hide right off the back. It's pretty straightforward. When you get good at it, You know, it's actually, if you're with fun people, it's fun. If it's kind of a decent day, that would be kind of nice. But we've done it in just horrendous weather. You just bundle up and do it. And then once we've got the animal lifted up, we'll open him up. So we go around the butthole, same as we do with a pig. Up there, we'll take the tail off, and then we'll open them up right down to the brisket. And we'll saw the brisket right down to, well, the head will be gone by then. And then we let the guts just fall out. You know, gravity helps us if you believe in gravity. If you don't believe in gravity, it's just heavy stuff falls, right? I don't know what you believe if you don't believe in gravity. And then we separate what we do not want from the guts, and we'll usually put that in the loader, or we'll leave it on the snow is a good way to do it. And it will freeze up, and we may have several of them, and they're stable if they're on the snow and they're frozen. And then we'll take them over and we'll dump them in with the chickens, and the chickens will work that over a long time. I've seen where Eskimos will kill caribou, and one of the first things that they'll go after is the stomach. And they'll want to get the material that's in the stomach that the caribou's been eating and eat that. It's sort of like a coleslaw, you know? And the chickens kind of feel the same way. You know, it's all that stomach juices in there. It starts to break that stuff down, and I guess it's pretty good. I haven't tried it, but I'm glad the clerics will be with us this time, because it's sort of a rite of passage. And then we, you know, separate out the heart and the liver and anything else that we think we want to do something with. And there we go. And then we split the old boy right down the center. And then while it's hanging, be hanging up like that. No, like that. Be hanging up like that. And then we'll cut it into thirds, which would actually be sixths. We're not quartering it, we're sixthing it. And it's pieces that are you can handle them. It's really nice if you can drop stuff down in the snow. It really is nice. If you can't, then you have to do something like put a tarp down or something like that. So that's what we do, and it's nice if you have people helping, for sure. It's really nice. And then the work begins, getting stuff. Tell us what ribs, 5 and 6. That's actually proprietary information. Now, 5 and 6. You cut in between the 5th and 6th rib, and that way you miss the shoulder blade. Trader Joe, is there anyone here not believe in gravity? Not me, man. I believe in it totally. I believe in it. Not me. Trader. I wonder what that's all about. Trader Joe's. Okay, so yeah, and gravity is just a theory. All right, so Trader Joe and can swap stories on that, you know. All right, so we do the same thing on pigs. We go in between the 5th and the 6th rib because we like to avoid the shoulder blade. If we hit the shoulder blade, we have to go down through that with a saw, which is definitely doable. But if we can avoid that, you know, for our purposes, it seems to work out pretty good. And, you know, when I'm telling how we do beef, that's how we do beef. You know, it's like how do I butcher a deer as opposed to, you know, somebody down in Texas like Sean? How does Sean do a deer? You know, it's personal preference. How do you skin out a bass? How do I skin out a bass? It's personal preference. It's how I was shown to do it, and that's how I do it. Actually, I was shown how to do it between the 4th and 5th, and then the shoulder blade is thin enough there where sometimes you can get through it with a knife. But I don't really like that, you know. So I made the decision to go 5, 6, and for my classes, when people tear through at 5 and 6, they have to cut a little bit of vertebrae and a little bit of sternum, and then bang, they've got it away. And that's when they pick it up and they look at the loin and say, wow, doesn't that look interesting, right? Yeah, my front end loader will definitely lift the cow high enough. Yep, for sure. Yeah. I am in the process, though, Lone Star, of I'm looking down the road. I'm looking down the road because and I got inspired by Sean Kelly on this, right? When you're down in Texas, down in your neck of the woods, everybody in Texas has cows. Everybody. And I guess it has something to do with taxation and homesteading. I don't know, but there are cows everywhere. And their processing times are horrendous. You know, like they're way out, and then a lot of people get disappointed that sorry, we can't do your cows. You know, and it's really difficult if you're holding down a full-time job and you know you've got to get your cows done. What Sean is doing is he built a shop, and he wants it for primarily doing cattle. And he's going to work with another fellow that's going to do farm kills. They're going to go right out. So the parties don't even have to be there. They can go out and they're shooting the animals on site and loading them and then bringing them back to Sean's shop to do it. So it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a lot of revenue there, and there's also a need for that. And the looking down the road that I think I'm doing has to do with we are teaching the homestead hog harvest butchering class right now, but I believe in the future we're going to be doing the homestead beef harvest, I guess. So I'm not as proficient as I feel as I would need to be to teach it. I'm just not there yet. But I have a really good friend that is very proficient at it. And I asked him the other day, hey, can I contract you to come and help me with 2 beef, cutting them up? And I said, I can go to your shop too. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so I'm going to take me and Jill, we're going to go maybe in the bus and get some real good instruction on cutting beef that we can pass on. I think that'd be a really interesting class. If you've done pigs, you know that it's just a series of steps, and none of these steps are brain surgery. With beef, it is just a little bit more daunting because as soon as that gun goes off, you just have this massive animal laying on the ground. And you kind of like, ooh, there's no turning back. Usually when we do beef here and my sons come to help, I shoot both of them, you know, because I don't want anybody saying, hey, Dad, let's just only do one, because then I got to do the other one myself. So I always, you know, shoot them both. So we're committed to do them. Once they're hung, then that's pretty stable, especially in the winter. We always kill beef in the wintertime. I've done a few in the summertime, but it's really a hassle because of the flies. All right. Tax exemption for being a farmer in the Lone Star State. Okay. And Jeremy Huggins is saying, did you see my chicken? Chicken question. I didn't. Let's see. No, I don't see it, man. Why don't you put her back up? And this is because we had some problems. I'm really surprised that it's holding, because usually when you have that many problems, there's been times where we have not been able to get it straightened out, and we just deep six it for the night. But all right, Justin Z is saying, where is the bus fund? The bus fund me. All right, Jill saying, we're talking. I had to cut pigs up today, start bacon and fairy kids. So this morning, Jill was like, who, me? It's like we have so much to do. That's why I told you I'm not going to build out a bus. I'm not going to do it because I know it would like take priority, and you can't do it. And I feel obligated to tell you that if we got a bus this summer, like let's say this everything drops into place, I would not be going hog wild on the road. I would not. As a matter of fact, I was started to tell you about this last night. Jill and I have, we are contemplating this really hard, that anyone can farm on the road with the intention of passing the torch to the next farm. There needs to be more preparation. There needs to be something else. Like, so there needs to be a stipulation that, okay, if you want to teach this at your farm and you want to do it under anyone can farm, like you want to use our books and our format and stuff, I suppose you can do it. But if you want to do it with our blessing, let's say, then you have to take a class with us first. I mean, come take a class, pay for the class, so you see the sequence, how it goes, because there's a lot there. I mean, when you come to one of our classes and you haven't taken it, you really don't know what you're in for. You don't know how, are you going to be eating with us? Are you going to be packing your own lunch? Things like that. We were going to do a class with a guy, and he was like, well, no, I'm not going to be able to do the food. I'll just call and order pizzas. Well, how would it be if we're cutting up mangalites of pigs and we're eating Kentucky Fried Chicken? That's just not going to work. Or eating pizzas. That's not going to work. So I think a person needs to see it with us first, and then there needs to be a train the trainer course, because it's way too much if you're not a trainer already to take one class and then teach that class. There's just more to it, I think. And I believe that we set people up for failure if we just teach them one class and then say, well, go for it. You'll do fine. Pat him on the back as he's leaving out the door. And I just don't want people set up for failure. I really don't. And I think if you went through a class with us and then a train the trainer curriculum, that would also be at Baker's Green Acres. It's just, I know this. What? I got to take another class? Yeah, and you got to pay for it too. But education costs. If you have 12 people in a class and you screw it up and everybody leaves, throwing their hat on the ground and calling you names, that's not good. That's not good. In the time that we've done this, honestly, and last year we put 50 people through the class, we have not only done it well, which we have, but there's some resiliency in our format to where when we hit problems, we were able to work through them without too much of a disturbance. And I don't think the students really even realized that, wow, these guys were not, they weren't as prepared as they should be, because we were able to, okay, you get this, and we'll do this. And okay. And we don't say, oh, okay, well, obviously we screwed up. You don't say that. So the train the trainer curriculum is coming. And I'll be honest with you, if you've just trained with us for one and you've gone home and killed one pig, I don't think that that's enough. And I really don't think you've got the cred or the knife skills or any of the skills to be able to teach this yet. And that might sound a little hardcore, but just go back and recite the anthem. You know, if you do the thing, you will have the power. If you do not do the thing, you will not have the power. If you have a student say, so how many pigs have you actually cut up? Well, actually, last weekend was the first one I ever did. And you're instructing me how to do this? You know, the whole thing is just going to get watered and watered and until it's a nothing burger. And that's not what we're trying to build here. We're trying to build a solid foundational skills, homesteading skills program that long after we're gone are doing something different. Somebody else has taken up the torch and carrying it. That's the way to do this. I mean, so anyway, that is coming, and I think that the bus is going to be a tool that will make that work. I think that'll make that work. It'll be a tool. It'll just be a tool. All right. Okay, so Jill says, Abundant Living, that's Jill. It's coming. Okay, I'm ready to send a donation. All right. So if you weren't here last night, and Lone Star wasn't, because he actually contacted me. He said, where are you guys? So as you can see, our new website or our new YouTube channel is the Anyone Can Farm Experience, right? And we're doing this because on our Baker's Green Acres YouTube, it had 10,000 people on there, right? But none of them were there because of what we do now. Most of them were there because of the struggle that we had with the state, you know, the drama of that and the fight. And that's not what we're about anymore. You know, that was where we were then. Yeah, I can pull that saber again, and I'm willing to pull that saber again. But that is not what we are about now. You know, we've cleared that. I think anybody that comes into our camp is being briefed on, you know, the way things really work, not the perception that these parasite organizations like to put out there. And once you're under the Anyone Can Farm banner, I don't think they mess with you, because those guys know. And these parasite bureaucrats, they're not like a homesteader that struggles to feed his family, to make things work, to make things grow, you know, they're not like that. They're cush people. They like it easy, right? So if they can lie to you and they know that they've got you convinced that you're in the wrong, that's the way they go, you know. But if you know what your rights are in the country that we live, the United States of America, governed by, you know, the Constitution of the United States, that's the supreme law, and then you understand how to draw that sword and swing it, then you have every right to be a homesteader and do everything that comes with it. And I mean everything. Like, I delivered babies in this house. That's my right. Nobody can step on that, you know. But if they say, hey, we understand you delivered a child in your home, we'd like to talk to you about that, I'd be like, right here. Don't talk to somebody else about it. I don't need to talk to you. You know, you offer me nothing, right? And here I go. Okay, can I raise? This is Jeremy Huggins. I think this is your first farm question. Jeremy Huggins is a friend of mine from the Air Force. We didn't actually. Yeah, we served together. We did. The mission continues, right, bro? The mission continues. Can I raise chicken in an electric netting until I get a do, or it gets old enough? No. Electric netting, typically it's about that big. And at the bottom, maybe it's like that. But chicks, They'll go right through it. So that's not a good idea. Nah. You're better off keeping chicks in until they're about 3 weeks old in a brooder scenario. So if you have a secure area like a garage or something that nobody can get in, no cats, no weasels or anything, or if you have a Great Pyrenees dog, which I may have secured a puppy today. I may have secured a male puppy to take Obi's place. And that's good because then we'll be having puppies again. You know, we're not Obi's. He ain't getting her done. He's going through the motions, but he's not locking it up. So he's just too old. He's more concerned what's on TV. But you want your chicks in like a lot of people will use an old tank, like a feed tank or a water trough or even a kiddie pool. That's a good, inexpensive way to go. And for starters, you do need a source of heat in there. So typically people go with a heat lamp, and you're going to have wood shavings on the bottom, to absorb their manure. And that heat lamp is a very dangerous thing. So I don't like them. They cause problems, they cause fires. And if you had it in a garage on that nice house very nice house, by the way, Jeremy, I wasn't able to scroll through and see the land, but we had really poor internet connection last night. Maybe I'll be able to have better luck with it today. If you have to use a heat lamp, you're going to have to be extremely careful. Extremely careful. I don't like them. And the way I do it is our brooder is a separate building, and I built it on skids, and it sits, the chicks are sitting right on the ground, and we have a hover heater in there that's propane. So I've been putting 300 or 400 in at a time, and it's 8 by 10. So quite a bit of space, 8 by 10, 80 square feet, and 300 or 400 chicks in there. And they're in there for about 3 weeks before they're out in the chicken tractors. And the chicken tractors, we use regular chicken wire on them, so the chicks cannot get through it, and nothing can get in there at them. But we do not rely on the chicken wire. We're actually relying on our dogs. Yeah, if you think that you can keep predators out, you're going to have a real tough time, because even people that put electric around the sides of them, those animals of the night have all night to figure it out. And they do some really horrendous things. They'll pull like a baby chick's, foot through, and they'll just eat it, and then you go out there in the morning and you have a one-legged chicken. It happens. It happens. Or a lot of times they'll eat quite a bit of their head, like the comb, and then finally the chick gets away, and you have a scalper out there. So that's what I recommend. I am not a fan of electric netting in any way, shape, or form. No way. I'm sorry, they just would not be able to hire me to give it a plug. For one thing, I think it looks terrible. It just looks terrible. Being in the Air Force, things got to look right. If they don't look right, something's wrong, right? Try this sometime, Jeremy. Try this. If you're visiting someplace and there is a Air Force base that has been decommissioned, drive on and see how that goes for you. Because when I went on Kinchlow up in the UP, or doesn't matter what it is. I don't remember what it was called before it was decommissioned, but I went on. It was a B-52 base, and I lived on a B-52 base at Loring, and nothing is out of place. If you drive on and you see a car dumped by the side of the road, it's like you're making a phone call. Does somebody know what's going on, what the status of this thing is? If you see someone walking, like a civilian walking, and you've never seen him before, I'm going to make a phone call. Like, who is this? And, is it somebody I've seen, or does it look like a workman from a shop or something like that? If it doesn't look right, a phone call is going to be made, and we're going to make sure that it's the way it's supposed to be. And I did this one time, I swear I did this. I was in a chow hall one time, and a workman had been in there who was fixing a cash register. This is way back when they had cash registers. And he had one of them aluminum briefcases, brushed aluminum briefcases, and he had set it down right about the place where I'm turning with my little tray, and I saw this unattended briefcase sitting there. And I said to the, of course, it's a Filipino lady that's running the cash register, and I said, do you know whose this is? And I know she doesn't get it. And she looks over and she starts to reach over. I said, no, don't do that. And then I was the senior ranking guy in there, and I had to make a decision. And I said, I got no choice. I went out into the dining room and I said, y'all got to leave. Everyone out. This is not a drill. Everyone out now. And there's a bunch of moaning and groaning. And then I was like, move it. And then boom, called LE. They came, and it was a toolkit is what it was. But nobody knew, right? So that's the way it is. And you try that, you go on a decommissioned base and you'll see stuff out of place and it'll just drive you nuts. But this is about, you're asking me about electric netting. I don't know how I get on that, but it looks like hell, and it doesn't function as well as they say it does. And I have had personal experiences twice with animals getting their head through it and then getting shocked and pulled back and then getting tangled up in it. All right, so that happens. They were goats, and one of them died. And I know a lot of pig people that, the pigs, a foot will go through and then he'll get shocked and he'll pull away and drag it, break it out of the ground, and then get tangled up in it, and it's still shocking them, and it just makes a big mess. I don't trust them. You can do what you want. I've tried it twice. Didn't work out. Justin Z, okay, I'm ready to send the donation. All right, we'll do it. I would like to see a bus at the Homesteaders of America conference on October 7th and 8th in Virginia. All right. I would like to see that too. And I'd like to see it wrapped with this logo right here. I'd like to see that with a nice mangalites on the side. All right, we'll put it out there. That's what I'd like to see. I mean, this is a worthwhile mission, and I appreciate that. Parasites don't produce things. Yes, that's true. Skinning cats is against the law. Not around here, buddy. He's given me the business because one time, you want to hear this story? This is an Air Force story, Jeremy. You'll like this. And Jeremy, Andy Zumwalt's a crew chief. So, and he's been here. When I was in the Air Force, we had an incident happen. This was when I was off duty, and we were backing out of the driveway, and a cat got run over, and it was one of my kids' cat. He was little. And later on that day, we were in church service, and he pulled on my pocket, and he says, when we get home, can we skin my cat? And I just said, well, I don't know. Let's check with Mom. And figuring he'd forget about it, but he didn't. As soon as he got the chance to, he asked Mom, can we skin my cat? And Mom said, well, I skin everything else. Go ahead. I don't care. So when we got home from church, the poor kid's cat had been run over, and the least I could do was help him skin it and put it out on a board. And it was a nice little hide. I mean, don't want to waste a good cat. And the kid lost, he lost interest in it like kids do. And it wound up a few years later, I brought it in. And by this time, I had a big desk. I mean, this was like a colonel's desk. And I had to interview young guys coming in and stuff. And a lot of young guys were in and out of my office, and I joke around with them. They thought I was pretty cool. So I had this on my desk, and it happened to be a black and white cat, and it resembled a skunk. And so I had this thing I would do where they would say, uh, Sergeant Baker, is that a skunk hide? Very respectful, right? I was a technical sergeant at the time. And and I would say, no, it's not. Well, what is that? It's my kid's cat. And then I would intentionally go on to something else so they couldn't ask a follow-up question about why did you skin your kid? I didn't want them to know, I just wanted them to, he skun his kid's cat and he's got it on his desk with a hand grenade sitting on top of it. And I did that for a reason, and it would kind of get around, right? Which is how I met the senior enlisted advisor at Maelstrom. No joke. He heard the windy story of the cat hide on my desk. And one day it was a little bit after duty hours, right? Maybe, I don't know, half hour after. And my office, I had a really nice office. I had like a chief's office, but I wasn't a chief. And I had a microwave that was not working. And I had it on my desk, and I had taken it apart, and I was trying to fix the stupid thing. And somebody walks in, and I look up, and it's the senior enlisted advisor, which now we call a command chief. So it was a chief master sergeant, and he works with the base commander, right? So he's the senior enlisted guy on the base, and he works very closely with the base commander of personnel issues. And I don't really know exactly what they do. I only interfaced with this guy a couple of times, but it started right there. And he came in and he says, so I've heard about this. And he was pretty good natured and caught me doing something. It wasn't like I was sitting there watching TV. And he sat down and we got to talking and stuff. And he wanted to know how I got into what I was doing. And I told him and talked to him about my hearing loss and how I thought it was a raw deal and stuff. But how it worked out okay. And I was going to. Anyway, I got to know him well enough, and I'd see him at the gym and stuff. And I wouldn't say we were buds. But I said to him one time, hey, if you'd like to stop out to my place sometime, because he was going to get out of the Air Force and stay in that area. And I was going to sell my farm out there. And I had told him about it. And, maybe you're interested. He actually came out to my house off duty time. Yeah. And I heard that he was really bent out of shape when he wasn't invited to my retirement. So I didn't mean anything by it. I just thought he was busy, and who was I, So anyway, that was my cat skinning story. It was a good story. There's other stories like that. It was always nice when people thought you were a little bit unhinged. What's wrong with skinning cat? But that story has been passed down through all my kids. And then my youngest son, Frank, he had said to me several times, so can we skin this cat? We have barn cats, and sometimes there's too many of them and you just got to pile them up. And one time I said, yeah, I don't care. So he's skinning a cat, and it was in the butcher shop. And I took a photo of him, and then I posted it on my Facebook page because I knew it would just stir it up. And boy, did it stir it up. I lost a lot of friends over that. Yeah. Okay. All right. But that's what Lone Star's joking about, because I'm sure he must have saw that. What was my favorite airplane in the Air Force? Ooh, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. I got to say the C-130. I got to say it. It's not sleek like F-15s and F-16s. I didn't do the F-22s or the 35s. That was after me. And the only smaller airplane that I worked on, it was before I was in the Air Force, and that was the 117. But when I was in the Air Force, I was an age mechanic. So I didn't actually work on 117s or 130s. I was working on the ground equipment, which was actually pretty good. But I'll have to say the C-130. Yep. Now, my favorite vintage aircraft is the A1E Sky Raider. I love them. I love them. Okay, Jeremy's saying again, after brooding, but before I get a dog. No, I would. I mean, you might make it, but what's going to fly top cover for you? Your birds will be sitting ducks to anything at night, owls, and anything during the day too. Opting for the heat plate. It's going to have to be a big one, unless you're just going to do a small number of chicks. Okay. Jack's asking, any news from Kirk as to how the fire started at the dairy farm? I'm not aware of that, Jack. Andy's saying, Justin, are you going to Homestead of America? I would consider if the group would like to go. Yeah. I'd consider it. Golf course from gate to gate. So that means you don't have a lot of trees on your 40 acres. Okay. That does work in your favor, actually, for nighthawks and owls. It does. But it doesn't guarantee that you wouldn't be visited. Justin, we could stop in Dundee and we could have an Anyone Can Farm caravan. There you go. Oh, caravan. You want to talk caravan? Truckers caravan? A convoy. Andy says, I use nets for big chicken, works great, but it's pretty low power. All right. Is the Michigan bus still in the running? The Michigan bus is the one that's up in Copper Harbor, the pink one. And yeah, it's not really very well outfitted. I didn't think. I was still going to require a lot of work to get it where we would need to use. I think there's some beautiful schoolies out there that I think there's people that would love to see their schoolie with a group like Anyone Can Farm. I honestly do, so they could keep tabs on it. We may find that, or even, like a loan, who knows? It's all in the family type thing. Who really owns anything? Jeremy says, your favorite plane is the one that takes you home. Boy, that's the truth. I never got to go on a C-17. I did lots of 141s, lots of 130s, and not a lot of C5s, but enough to know. A lot of C5s. C5 is the biggest airplane that we have in the inventory, and when you see them take off, they seem to fly really slow. But when you're on them, when you're sitting on them, I only ever flew in the passenger compartment, and you're sitting facing the tail, and it's when the pilot hits the throttles on those things, man, do those things have a lot of thrust. Oh, Lone Star, then you're going to have to watch the rerun because I told the cat story. Oh, Jeremy was referring to USA bases with golf courses. I never did the golf thing, man. Oh, good. You got trees. I hope you have trees that feed people. I think he meant gate-to-gate golf course. Okay. Decommissioned Air Force Base. Yeah. Sorry about that. Shouldn't I know that? All right. I'm going to get going, you guys, because my company is getting ready to leave, and I want to say goodbye to them before they go. I think we're going to see some interesting. Life's too short for golf. Yeah. Unless you're drinking beer, then it's fun. All right. Well, Haven's got a story here. We had our layers out by Old 55 in electric netting and didn't lose a single one all summer. So, okay. Layers, a little different than chicks, I think, but yeah. Let us know how it works out. All right, I'm going to get going. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I don't know how much information is going to flow out of Ottawa, but I think there's a lot of problems going on there because Mr. Trudeau has actually abandoned his fellow primates in the government. And so they're thinking you're not even going to be here to negotiate on our behalf. So we'll see what happens, but I do need to listen to the rest of the video that Jack sent me from Owen Benjamin about it, saying the whole thing's a big farce and a big setup, like January 6th. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna go. You guys have a good time. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday.